The sound of a child's cry cut through the evening air like a blade. It wasn't the playful wail of a tantrum, nor the startled shriek of surprise. It was raw, trembling pain. On the edge of the small industrial town of Ridgefield, the parking lot outside Miller's diner fell silent as every biker in the Iron Souls Motorcycle Club turned their heads. Tiny footsteps stumbled across the gravel, and there he was. A boy no older than 7, his knees scraped, his toy truck shattered in his hands. Behind him, a woman struggled to her feet, holding her cheek, a bruise already forming. "Who did this?" growled Hawk, the club's president, his voice deep and steady like distant thunder. The boy's lip trembled. He pointed toward the old factory across the tracks. "The men from the factory. They broke my toy, and they hit my mom." For a moment, no one spoke. The air thickened with the scent of motor oil and tension. The bikers looked at each other. Rough men in leather, faces worn from years of hard living. But what passed between them was something older and deeper than anger. It was a code. Hawk crouched to meet the boy's eyes. "What's your name, kid?" "Eli." "Well, Eli," Hawk said quietly, "you hang on to your mom. We'll be right back." The engines roared to life. The Iron Souls weren't saints. They'd seen the inside of too many bars, had scars that told stories they didn't want to repeat. But they had rules. You don't hurt women, and you don't hurt kids. As they rode, dust kicked up behind them, trailing like a storm cloud. The factory wasn't far, a decaying building on the outskirts of town, where a few low-wage workers stayed late under the control of a cruel foreman named Briggs. Briggs was known for cutting corners, mistreating his workers, and throwing his weight around, literally and otherwise. The bikers parked at the gates, engines growling low. "Stay here," Hawk told the others. "Let's do this clean." But Briggs wasn't the type to make things easy. When Hawk and 2 of his men walked in, Briggs and 3 of his cronies were already waiting by the loading dock. "What's this?" Briggs sneered. "Didn't know the circus was in town." Hawk kept his voice calm. "You laid hands on a woman and her kid. You're going to apologize now." Briggs laughed. "That woman? She's lucky I didn't call the cops for trespassing. Her brat was playing near the trucks. I told him to get lost." Hawk's jaw tightened. "And breaking a kid's toy helps with that." Briggs took a step forward, his men smirking behind him. "You think you scare me with your bikes and tattoos? You're just washed-up losers trying to feel tough." The air snapped. One of Hawk's men, Diesel, stepped forward, his fists tightening, but Hawk raised a hand. "No," he said softly. "We're not here to fight. We're here to make things right." Hawk reached into his jacket and pulled out something unexpected, a crumpled old photo. It showed a young boy, maybe 8, standing next to a motorcycle, smiling shyly. "That was me," Hawk said. "My mom used to bring me to her job at a factory just like this. Her boss thought he could push her around. One day he went too far. I swore I'd never let that happen to another woman again." For the first time, Briggs hesitated. His men shifted uneasily, but the moment passed. Briggs sneered again. "Get out, old man, before I make you regret coming here." That's when Diesel stepped forward, not swinging but holding something out. It was Eli's broken toy truck, carefully pieced back together with duct tape and wire. "You broke this," Diesel said quietly. "To you, it's just plastic. To him, it's everything." Briggs snorted, but there was something in Diesel's eyes, a quiet fury, the kind that made you realize some men weren't afraid of pain. Then, from behind the bikers, a voice cracked through the night. "Leave them alone." It was Eli's mother, standing at the gate. Her face was bruised, but her eyes burned with defiance. "You don't get to hurt people and walk away like nothing happened, Briggs. Not anymore." The bikers turned slightly, forming a line between her and the foreman. Hawk looked back at Briggs. "You're going to pay her what you owe, the hospital bills, the damages, and for the truck. Or you'll have to explain to every man in this town why a woman had to stand up to you before you did what's right." The factory yard fell silent. Briggs's men looked at one another, and then one by one they walked away. No one wanted to stand by him anymore. Briggs muttered something under his breath but went inside. When he came back, he threw an envelope at Hawk's feet. "Take it. Now get out." Hawk nodded once. "You did the right thing, finally." Later, back at the diner, the bikers sat quietly while Eli's mother, her hands still trembling, hugged her son tight. Hawk placed the repaired toy truck on the table. "We did what we could," he said, his voice soft now. But the real hero's right here. He nodded at her. You stood up when you didn't have to. That takes guts. Tears filled her eyes. I didn't know what else to do. You did exactly what you should, Hawk said. You protected your boy. Eli climbed up onto Hawk's lap, clutching the truck. You're like heroes, he said. Like the ones on TV. Hawk smiled faintly. Nah, kid. Heroes don't wear leather and ride loud bikes. They wear courage. Weeks passed, and the stories spread around Ridgefield about the bikers who stood up for a mother and her child. The factory changed hands. The workers got better treatment, and Briggs quietly left town. But every Saturday, the roar of engines still filled the diner parking lot. And every time Eli heard it, he ran outside, his toy truck in hand, waving with a grin that could melt steel. And the Iron Souls would wave back, knowing that for all the wrong they'd seen in the world, there were still moments, small, fleeting moments, when you could choose to be better. Because sometimes justice doesn't come from courts or badges. Sometimes it comes from people who've been broken enough to understand how much it hurts and brave enough to make sure it doesn't happen again. Message: standing up for what's right doesn't always take power or status. Sometimes it just takes heart. And when people stand together, even the roughest, toughest among us, they can bring light to the darkest corners of a broken world.